back to the Curious Curator. So as you can probably see, the background is a little different. A few of you said you didn't like the backgrounds in my other videos so much. Well, unfortunately, I don't really have a lot of options to use as background. Because I live in a really small studio, so I literally just cross the room to this lovely brick wall. I guess I could add a few decorations, but I don't really have a lot of stuff. The only things I could use are books or a cat. That didn't work. Anyway, today is the 25th of April, a really important date in Portuguese history. 40 years ago, in 1974, was the so-called Carnation Revolution, a military coup that overthrew the regime of the Estado Novo, the Portuguese dictatorship that had been going on for decades. This act of rebellion had many social and political repercussions that can still be felt today. Before the revolution, you couldn't speak your mind, you'd be arrested for what you said, you couldn't form political parties, and the country was stuck in an unwanted war against its African colonies, all of which regained their independence after 1974. It's called the Carnation Revolution a bit by chance. When the military took to the streets, of course they took weapons with them, not flowers, but when the population joined them, they put carnations into their muzzles and uniforms, and no shots were fired. On this occasion, I am going to show you an exhibition at the Cooperativa Árvore, titled 40 Years of the April Revolution. Árvore has an extensive poster collection, and they decided to commemorate the date with a selection of historical posters of the 25th of April and consequent social and political events. Since these objects were meant for the street, most of them show spontaneous and fleeting expressions of a turbulent time. They were meant to be ephemeris, not made to last. Only the most recent ones demonstrate a concern with concept and reflection. I have to say though, this doesn't feel like a curated selection. It's mostly a showcase of every poster, every perspective, without criteria. It is an archive of collective memory without an intentional narrative. So this exhibition is not so much about graphic arts, authors and artworks, but it's mostly about an historical time and its continuing influence. The carnation is obviously a recurring element, and most of the aesthetic treatment of the posters is inspired by it. In the first room, the posters are arranged chronologically. The second room relates to political parties and movements, and the third room is dedicated to international movements of that time and afterwards. There are also stickers, which apparently were very popular at the time as a propaganda vehicle. Here you can find everything from socialist and communist movements to the fight for human rights, women's rights, Amnesty International, all things that were only possible in Portugal after the fall of the dictatorship. The day I visited this exhibition, there was a conference about posters and graphic arts with the presence of artists and academics. One of the ideas mentioned was that even though the quality of these artifacts is quite mixed, time has given them a value that they didn't have before and which goes beyond aesthetics. I want to mention a friend of mine, Sara Pinheiro, who was an assistant in the organization of this exhibition. She did all the documentation and wrote in the catalogue, which has reproductions of all the posters in the exhibition. That concludes my short commemorative video. There are a lot more things that I could say about the social and political situation in Portugal and how that relates to the revolution, but those will be left for another time. For now, go see some exhibitions, go see some arts, and I will see you next time. Bye!